Welcome everyone, I'm Achilles Hero, and in this video will be my performance in my wildcard tourney, and also my weighted Sorcerous Cup. This tourney went for 7 rounds and had 92 participants. This was the largest tourney that I have done to date. Moving on to the first round of the tournament. As you can see on the right, that's the team I used for this tournament. Went with Drill Run Beedrill. Just the community day was the day before, so I went in with Beedrill without much practice. I only did about four scrims with Beedrill before entering. Shout out to 200% Gary for those battles and making me decide to bring in Beedrill. Previously, in my Sorcerous Cup battles and tournaments, I was using Viaflin instead of, because Community Day Beedrill didn't have it yet, so I was using Viaflin. But with Drill Run Beedrill being available, it rounded out me team's weaknesses, 2 Toxicroak, and still having that as you counter with the poison jabs with Beedrill. It was very good for this tournament. Not many people were running it. There was a lot of people using Drill Run Beedrill teams. And I felt like majority of the time I was using Beedrill just because it had good coverage against the majority of their teams. And moving on to the commentary of this battle, decided to shield Thunder Punch. I needed to try to Hydro Pump the Hypno. But I'm in a bad spot. I'm hoping that Lanoon doesn't have Dig, so my Beedrill can finish it off in the back. So I'm gonna lose this, but I'm gonna bring Beedrill in. I've decided to go with X-Scissor instead of a Felsinger, just because X-Scissor can still do a fair bit of damage to Psychic types. As you can see here, I get the X-Scissor off, takes out Hypno, and then Lanoon comes in. Hoping that they just have Grass on. I mean, Thunder would do a bit, but I think I could have taken a Thunder, but they do have Dig, which makes Alola Muck a little bit more scary to use because they do have that Dig on Lanoon. We lost that first battle, but we did learn a few things in terms of movesets. With that Lanoon having Dig. Decent lead here. I mean, I'm going to have to shield this Dark Pulse though to put pressure on their Alola Muck. Go for the X-Scissor bait. Bait shield. So now I go straight for the Drill Run. I am going to let this second Dark Pulse through. I didn't want to double shield my Beedrill. But I'm going to get to a Drill Run. Either making them have to double shield or let the Alola Muck go. Hypno comes in to confusion down that Beedrill, and I bring in the hard counter with my own Alola Muck. I'm gonna have to shield this, and they go for the Elemental Punch, which is why I do not shield. You go for the Fire Punch, so obviously trying to counter Ice types with that moveset. They bring in Lanoon, knowing that they have Dig, I switched into Alakazam. With a shield and them not having a shield, it was a favourable matchup for me. Those counters are going to add up. And Hypno comes in, make the mistake of going for Fire Punch. All I needed to do there was go for Shadow Ball to win that battle. I was afraid that they get another elemental punch off and wipe it out. But I should have just gone for the Shadow Ball to win that battle straight away, because the Hypno wouldn't have reached the charge move in time. And because I went for the elemental punch in the fire punch instead of Shadow Ball, that Hypno was able to build up energy and nearly beat me muck. So I was lucky to get away with that win, with that mistake that I made. If I went straight for the Shadow Ball, would have won that match without me muck having to come back out. Okay, moving on to the third battle. I decided to lead Beedrill, just so I didn't have it locked in against Hypno. So we get the shield pretty early on. They switch into Wigglytuff. The poison jab damage is going to be super effective. Go for the drill run. Poison jab down on Wigglytuff, but I do use the energy there. Didn't need to do that. I could have just poison jabbed it down and then used the energy for the next Pokemon. But luckily enough, they do use their energy on this Beedrill, so I just let it through. So I've got 2 shields against Lanoon. Gonna have to shield. Alakazam is squishy. Performs best when it has shields. And they bring in Toxicroak. I go straight for the Shadow Ball this time. And they don't shield. That turned the match around for them. I feel like they didn't think I had Shadow Ball because I didn't use it against Hypno. But landing that Shadow Ball definitely cost them the match. Them not shielding the Toxicroak definitely cost them that battle. And moving on to our second round. My opponent threw me off here with their anti-meta Spice team. I had quite a few of these picks I hadn't seen before. And I make the mistake of using Drill Run Beedrill, going for the Drill Runs against Claydol instead of going for X-Scissor. Because Bug is super effective to Psychic types, but I still went for the Drill Runs. There's only a slight difference in damage, but with X-Scissor being a lower energy charge move, doing a little bit more damage than what Drill Run does. Using more energy to get to Drill Run is what hurts. And as you can see here, their Claydol is putting in work against my team with those Mud Slaps. I had a lower mark in the back, and they definitely got me here. I got beamed to lose the first battle. Definitely spicy. Okay, decide to lead Glalie to try to counter that Claydol matchup again. But I'll get Slowbro. Not a bad matchup, but I have to land a Shadow Ball. Avalanche isn't going to do much with it being a water type, but it puts pressure on him to shield having Shadow Ball. I decided to shield this, want to keep Glalie alive, go for another Shadow Ball to win the match, win that matchup. They bring in Bib, and I made the mistake of using all my energy. Used all my energy and then stayed in the matchup. Okay. With them doing the switch, I should have just switched out at that point. They gave away switch advantage, I should have switched. Staying in and using all my energy and then letting them farm up was a big mistake on my point. So I've made 2 mistakes in a row in this second round. I confusion down the bib, but I have to use my shields, so I've got no shields left. They bring in Slowbro, so it's pretty much confusion against confusion. Bring in the Bulldoze and I try to get a move off, but they've got Psychic ready to go and they've got Celio on the back. Bronzong isn't going to do much against Celio. They decide just to shield to guarantee the win. And we pretty much got outplayed by an anti-meta team. So I decide to bring in Azu, and then we lose the lead again by them bringing in Cantomuk. So I bring in Beedrill. As you can see, I still go for the drill run. Needed to go Xyzer there, just do that little bit extra damage. Get a shield out of him this time. I decide to shield and go for Xyzer, the move that I should have been doing in the first place. Take out the Claydol. Cantomuk comes back in. Now the only way for me to counter Cantomuk is by bringing in my Alolan Muck, as I can't have a Azumarill come in. And they Acid Spray my Alolan Muck and bring in Celio. At this point, I just go for the Dark Pulse, and because they've brought in Celio, going to do neutral damage with the Bubble and Water Guns, and they're just gonna do they're gonna do Body Slam spam. I'm just gonna go for a Play Rough. Pretty much just chipping away at this Celio. I know that they have Cantomuk in, so the best way for my Azumarill to perform is just by doing chip damage against Celio and keep my Alolan Muck at a decent health to counter this Cantomuk. So I've got a shield. No point me using Sludge Wave with it being a poison type. Might as well do Dark Pulse. I shield this. They bring in Acid Spray, so they have debuffed. It's going to be close here against Celio, but I'm able to get to a charge move first, and Dark Pulse is going to be enough to take the third battle. So we do lose that round, which means that we have to, in order to claim a continental spot, we have to rely on it going to a tiebreaker. And moving on to the third round, I decide to lead Beedrill. Again, so I don't get it locked in with Bronzong, but it also has a decent matchups against their team. When I get hit with a Flamethrower, they bring in Frostlass. So go for the Drill Run. Drill Run does quite a bit of damage to Frostlass. They shield, and I switch out into Azu. Gonna be able to tank a Shadow Ball. Get a second Shadow Ball through. Go for the Play Rough. They shield, so they double shield. At this point, I'm just going for the Play Rough to take out this Frostlass. Frostlass goes down. They bring in their own Azu. Go for the Play Rough. And they switch at the perfect time to tank it. So now that Azu's got energy built up and that Skuntank tanks the move. They just get that charge move off before I can reach another player up. But with my Azu having good IVs, I'm able to survive and get off the player up anyway. And at this point, I bring in Glalie just to chip down the Azu and hopefully get a Shadow Ball off. Able to tank a Hydro Pump to get that Shadow Ball off. Bring it low enough for Beedrill to come in and poison jab that Azu to take out game 1. Okay, game 2 decide to lead Azu. It was good option for game 2. Azu has good coverage against the team. Really only have to watch out for Skuntank and the Azu mirror. Do have to watch out for Bronzong because I do have to land the Hydro Pump to win that matchup. But overall, it was a decent lead. So they switch into Skuntank. I switch into Beedrill. Shield this. Didn't want to get landed with the Flamethrower. Build up to a Drill Run. Go for the X-Scissor. Try to get a shield. But they don't shield. So at this point, I just go for the X-Scissor. Nearly able to take out that Skuntank. Didn't want to shield, let this crunch through. Frostlass comes in, go for the X-Scissor before it goes down. So we get the last shield. I've got Azu and Bronzong. So I don't want to bring in Bronzong because then I'd have to burn my shield to keep it alive. So I brought in Azumarill to tank a Shadow Ball. Try to get a player off. I do shield here. Didn't need to, it was going to be an avalanche, but I decided to shield anyway. And bring in Bronzong for the Bronzong mirror. They were up on energy, so they are going to reach Bulldoze before we do. This range, I know I'm not going to reach a second Bulldoze, so I try to go for Side Shock, but they are able to get another Bulldoze off. So Bronzong goes down, bring in Azumarill. At this point I decide to bubble down the Bronzong, saving all my energy for Frostlass in the back. Now I did use Play Rough, I should have just used Hydro Pump. But I'm able to take that win. If I'd used all my energy on Bronzong, I would have lost. So that was the right win condition there. Was me bubbling down that Bronzong and saving the energy for Frostlass. They decided to switch it up again in the third round. Glalie also had a pretty decent coverage against their team. Do lose the lead though with that Metacham, but it still put pressure on Metacham to shield, because if they don't shield that Shadow Ball, it was going to go down. Bring in Azu to tank that Psychic, and then just go for the Play Rough on Skuntank. Just do quite a bit of chip damage, get it as low as it possibly can with Azu. No point shielding here, Azumarill's quite low, it's not going to do much else in the battle. Bring back in Glalie. Decide to shield the crunch. Ice Shard down Skuntank. And I knew that Metacham was going to come back in. I bring in Beedrill and they switch to Frostlass. So at this point, go for the Drill Run, get the last shield. Decide to shield this avalanche and go for a second drill run. And they have to use their energy, otherwise my Beedrill was going to poison jab down that Frostlass, and my Glalie is able to come back in, building up some energy on Frostlass to a Shadow Ball to beat Metacham in the back. And moving on to the fourth round, I decide to lead Azu. Looking at the team, I was worried about that Munchlax. So I did try to catch it with the Azu, but also Azu being really bulky, is probably the best situation for me to go with as the lead for the first round. Go straight for the Hydro Pump, and able to land it, they don't shield. Decide to shield this Sky Attack, would have done quite a bit of damage, and then I go for the Hydro Pump as they switched into a Alolan Muck. We'll get the shield here. If I didn't, it would have done quite a bit of damage to a Alolan Muck and they would have been in a bad situation. Then I switch out and opt for the Alolan Muck Mirror. Just going for Sludge Waves. Does more damage than what Dark Pulse does in this situation. And I'm able to make it to a Dark Pulse to win this mirror match. They bring back out Noctowl, decide to bring in Glalie, chip down that Noctowl, they switch out into Munchlax, go for the Avalanche, no point going for Shadow Ball, with Munchlax being a normal type, Ghost is going to do much damage as it will be not very effective. Wanted to keep that Azumarill healthy, so I did shield the Body Slam. Trying to get a move off on Munchlax to set up Glalie in the back. Tried to go for the Hydro Pump and I lose all that energy. So in that situation, should have gone for the Play Rough and not risk losing all that energy. Going to be able to get this Avalanche off. It's not going to KO, but it's going to get it low enough to Ice Shard it down. And with Noctowl having hardly any HP in the back, I'm able to take out the first game. Okay, moving on to the second battle, I decided to lead with Glalie. Basically because it had very good coverage against their team. And as you can see, I caught the lead that I needed with Noctowl. Go for the Avalanche on this Alolan Muck, get the shield. Now I switch out and same situation as last game. I decided to go opt for the Alolan Muck Mirror. So same plan, just go for the Sludge Waves. But this time they are able to switch out into Noctowl, and I'm able to go for the Sludge Wave. They do not shield it, so they tank the Sludge Wave. Just going to let this Alolan Muck go down. Going to bring back in Glalie to Ice Shard down this Noctowl. They are going to get a charge move off though. I'll let the Sky Attack through, farm up the Noctowl, throw the Avalanche at Alolan Muck, but they 1 CMP, so they're going to get the Dark Pulse off first, so I have to shield. have Skuntank in the back, so I go for the Avalanche. I'm gonna have to shield this. And I've got a Azumarill in the back. Generally not a good situation for me. Usually Sludge Bomb would have been GG's, but they go for the crunch. I was quite shocked here. And they go for a second crunch. So now I've realised that they do not have Sludge Bomb. So I just go for the Play Rough to take out the second game. If that Skuntank had Sludge Bomb, it would have been GG's, so I was let off there by movesets. But because that Skuntank didn't have Sludge Bomb, I worked out that they must have had Flamethrower. So that Azumarill was in a better situation to lead with, because that Skuntank doesn't even have Sludge Bomb. So I went in with that information for this third game. Now I did use that information for the Azumarill, but I didn't keep following that information for Glalie, because Skuntank did have Flamethrower. So Glalie being an Ice type, I'm going to have to shield these Flamethrowers from Skuntank. So I'm going to have to opt to double shield to keep chipping away at the Skuntank. They're going to end up double shielding as well, and then they switch out into Munchlax. Good play on their behalf. Glalie's been quite a threat to their team, so they do get rid of that. Go for the Body Slam spam. Go for the Play Rough. It's at a low enough range to take it out. They bring in Skuntank to chip away at that Azumarill and farm up with Poison Jabs. While Muck comes in, go for the Dark Pulse to take out this Skuntank. So at this point it's just going to depend on what they have in the back, and it's their own Alolan Muck. So we're in a losing situation here. Sludge Wave isn't going to be enough to take it out, and they're going to reach a Sludge Wave themselves to take out game 3. Moving on to the 5th round. Decided to lead Bronzong here. Thought it was a decent lead. There wasn't anything that really hard-walled Bronzong. And able to catch that Wigglytuff. Skuntank comes in. Go for the Bulldoze. They shield. So now I switch out into Glalie. Do shield here in case it was a Flamethrower. It is just a crunch. I get this Avalanche off to take out that Skuntank. Then they bring back in Wigglytuff. Go for the Avalanche. And they let Wigglytuff go. And they've got Azumarill in the back. So I try to go for a Shadow Ball, getting quite a bit of lag and not able to get a charge move off. At this point I bring back in Bronzong, hiding the fact that I do have Beedrill in the back. Shield this in case it was a Hydro Pump, but they're able to bait with the Play Rough. So I'm just going to chip away at this Azumarill with Psyshocks. Hydro Pump off, and my Beedrill is going to Poison Jab the Azumarill down, use the X Scissor, just to burn that shield. And they let a hydro pump off, but I'm able to tank it. Once I seen that hydro pump caption come up, I thought I'd lost that battle. But surprisingly enough, thankfully, my Beedrill has good IVs that I was able to tank the hydro pump to take out that first battle. My opponent would have been mad seeing that Beedrill had survived. Okay, with this second battle, we're off to a good start with the Bronzong lead again. Decided to go with Bronzong, same reason as the first. And we're able to catch that Beedrill lead. Switch into Skuntank, decide to not double shield his Bronzong, so I do let that crunch through. Bring in a Zoom Roll, just on enough HP to get that side shock off. They've switch locked themselves, so I do bring in Beedrill. Shielded here, didn't need to, they didn't build up enough to get a hydro pump off, so they do get that shield out of me. Just tried going for the X-Scissor bait. Either way, it was just going to do some chip away damage. The main threat with Beedrill is the poison jabs. Play rough isn't going to be enough to take it out, and they switch out into Skuntank. The Skuntank is going to shield this drill run. Just not able to get that X-Scissor off, and I had Glalie in the back. But this Skuntank has Flamethrower, and they're going to be able to get another charge move off to take out game 2. So what I've learned is this Skuntank also has just Crunch and Flamethrower, so I'll take that information into game 3. Going into this one, decided not to go with Bronzong this time and lead Beedrill just because I'd led Bronzong twice in a row. I had a feeling they'll try to counter Bronzong, so I do get the lead again with Beedrill against Azu. So go for the drill run. Normally people don't shield the first charge move with Azu, being that it's so bulky. They switch out at the time to tank that X-Scissor. I switch into my own Azu. Again, bringing in Azu, knowing that Skuntank doesn't have Sludge Bomb. Go for the play rough bait first. Get the shield. Now I try to build up to a Hydro Pump. Let the Sky Attack through. Get the Hydro Pump off before I'm able to faint. Take out the knockdown. They bring in their Azu to bubble down my Azu. I decide to bring in my Beedrill, shield this, and they automatically switch out into Skuntank. Now I'll go for the drill run. Get their shield. Shield this and go for a second drill run. This drill run's going to take out the Skuntank. And the Azu is going to take out my Beedrill, but I've got a full health Bronzong in the back to just confusion down to take out game 3. Moving on to the 6th round, we're up against an elite trainer. And unfortunately I lose the lead. Beedrill against Hypno. I do go for the X-Scissor. Fire off an X-Scissor before switching out. So chip a bit of damage away on that Hypno. Bring in a lower Muck. And they bring in their own Beedrill. Dark Pulse. Decide to shield this Drill Run. Go for another Dark Pulse. Decided to double shield this Drill Run, so I have a Lola Muck there for to counter Hypno. I do use my energy though. Probably could have snarled down that Beedrill. They bring in their Alola Muck, and I switch into Beedrill, only to be countered by that Hypno. But I'm able to at least get another X-Scissor off. Which is why I went with X-Scissor instead of Felstinger. Just to counter those psychic types. Pressures something like Hypno to have to shield at least one X-Scissor. Lola Muck comes back out, but I'm going to take that Sludge Wave. And with that Alola Muck still having a shield, it's not a very good situation for me. Snarl charges fairly quickly as well. It's going to charge quicker than what I can with Ice Shard and Avalanche. So K-Pop is going to take out the first game. And for this second battle, I decide to lead Glalie. Had decent coverage, thought it would be a decent lead. Able to catch the Beedrill. Shield this Drill Run. Go for the Shadow Ball. Beedrill shields. Decide to double shield my Glalie, and this time go for the Avalanche. So we both double shield. I bring in my Beedrill for the Beedrill Mirror, knowing that if Hypno did come out, I could at least double X-Scissor it. But they stay in with the Beedrill. They had the surprise Aerial Ace on their Beedrill. Then that Hypno comes out to confusion it down. Bring in Glalie, try to reach the Shadow Ball. Should have, not the right call. Should have remembered that Hypno did have Fire Punch. So it was probably best for me to bring in Alakazam first. And go for that Shadow Ball. Because as you can see, that Fire Punch, it can tank. And with Hypno having no shields, the Shadow Ball would have taken it out. And then there was Muck in the back, so it would have been GG's. So if I brought in that Alakazam, I might have had a chance, because that Glalie could have at least landed that Avalanche on a lower Muck to do quite a bit of damage. Going into this third battle, I decided to bring in Azu. I wanted to know if that Hypno had double elemental punches, and as I found out, it did. It had Thunder Punch and Fire Punch, so it's not running Shadow Ball. I decided to go for the Hydro Pump, and they decide to shield. At this point, I decided I'm just going to let Miyazu go. Going to get the play rough off. They don't shield, but I feel like I'm in a good position. I've got 2 shields, they've only got 1. I've got a lower muck sitting there. So I bring in a lower muck. Going to be able to tank any move that Hypno throw, and I was going to just farm it down, but they switch into a lower muck. Good situation for me. I've got 2 shields and they've got 1, so I'm going to win this mirror. Going to shield this, don't want to risk getting hit with a sludge wave. They bait it with Dark Pulse though. I go for my own bait, but they don't shield. So now they're up on energy a little bit because they didn't throw the sludge wave. They throw the sludge wave this time. I decide to switch out into Bronzong to try to confusion down that lower muck in time, but they're able to get this Dark Pulse up. Before it goes down, they bring in Beedrill. The Beedrill's going to have to shield this Psyshock. Do quite a bit of damage with confusions. The Beedrill's going to have to use its energy. Use an Aerial Ace. Bring in a lower muck, use me energy straight away. Don't want to get hit with a charge move. Decide to farm down the Hypno. Even if they throw off a move, it's not going to take out the lower muck, so I just farm it down and use my charge move on the lower muck in the back to take out game 3. Moving on to the 7th and final round of the tournament. At this point, the tourney had gone for over 8 hours, so it was very tiring. There was about an hour delay in between rounds, mainly because of disputes from lag and whatnot that happened pretty much every round. But there was one period where there was a 2-hour break in between rounds because of lag disputes. So sitting around for 2 hours waiting for another round to start. It was not ideal. So I was very glad to be finally doing this last round to stop battling for the night. Going into the battle, I did lead Beedrill, got caught with the Hypno. So I did try counter it with a low on muck, hoping that a Toxicroak would come out, but Munchlax did come out. Not a bad matchup. A low on muck is going to resist the lick damage, but it's the Body Slam and the Bulldoze threat that does work against the low on muck. Did bring back in Beedrill, did shield the Body Slam, just so I could set up a potential Azu in the back. So I use the X-Scissor on Hypno, get the shield out of him, and automatically switch out into Glalie. With that Hypno burning their shield, I've set up Glalie to get the land a Shadow Ball, and thankfully that Hypno doesn't have Fire Punch, so I am going to reach it. Interesting they went with Psyshock on their Hypno. Land the Shadow Ball. And they do have Azu in the back, so I go for a second Shadow Ball. Avalanche is going to be resisted with Azu. I'm not going to be able to reach a second Shadow Ball, so I try to go for an Avalanche, unable to do so. Bring back in Beedrill. It's going to cut it very close here. I've got to use the shield to have any chance. And they switch out to try to tank a move, and it doesn't work for them, and I'm able to get Drill Run to take out game 1. And that was very close. My decision to shield that Body Slam was actually what got me that win there. Something very small in the match ended up paying off big. Also helped that they switched out and let that Beedrill get an extra few autos off to get that Drill Run off. I'm not sure, maybe that Azu could have bubbled down the Beedrill, but just able to get that win, very close. Going into this second battle, I decided to lead with Azu. Pretty safe option going into the second. And I'm able to land the Munchlax lead. Wanted to shield this body slam just so I could bubble down the Munchlax, banking up energy for the next Pokemon. Even if Hypno comes out, I'm going to go straight for a Hydro Pump. So they are going to have to shield, or it's going to pretty much take half of Hypno's health. They're going to Confusion down the Azu. Decided to bring in Bronzong this time because they revealed that they had Psyshock on their Hypno. So they're not running Shadow Ball, so it's not going to be a hard counter anymore to Bronzong. And with this Hypno running Thunder Punch and Psyshock, Bronzong is going to perform really well because it's going to just be neutral damage. So Bronzong had decent coverage against most of their team, and with Hypno not having Shadow Ball, it was more reason for me to bring it. And I'll have Beedrill in the back to counter their switch against Azu. Just banking up a bit of energy here, going for the X-Scissors so they don't use another charge move. The Azumarill goes down. I have energy built up for that Hypno. They're able to just get a move off before I can reach another X-Scissor. And I have Bronzong in the back. And as I said before, they do not have Shadow Ball, so I am going to win this matchup. And I'll just go for a Psyshock. Hypno's at low enough health that Psyshock is going to take it out to take out game 2. There's a good example of why it is good to pay attention to certain movesets because they can change certain matchups around, as I explained with the Hypno and Bronzong matchup. Lost the lead, decided to switch into Bronzong, shielded the Nightshade. Psyshock was going to do quite a bit of damage to Knockdown, but they're able to switch into Munchlax. This lick damage is going to add up. The Munchlax is going to win this matchup. They decide to shield, get off a body slam and lick my Bronzong down. Decide to bring in Azu here, just to bubble down the Munchlax, farm up quite a bit of energy. Gonna be able to take plenty of the body slam spam. The damage is adding up though, pretty much lose half of my health. Hypno comes out, so I decide to switch in to Beedrill for the X-Scissor threat. Get the shield out of him. Hypno's Confusion is going to do a lot of damage to Beedrill though. Decided not to shield, just to save me shield for Azumarill on the back. Unable to get to another X-Scissor before I go down. I'll land the Hydro Pump, but it isn't enough. Hypno is going to reach a Thunder Punch, so I've got to shield this. But they're going to switch out and bring in Knockdown, and they're going to get a Sky Attack off, which is going to be enough to take down my Azumarill, and they take game 3. Okay, and these are the final standings. We finished on 5 wins and 2 losses. As you can see, the tourney did go to a tiebreaker round. Because the single competitor that was on 6 wins and 0 losses going into the 7th round lost. So we just fall short of the tiebreaker round. But I am really happy with my performance in this cup. Some of our opponents also finished on 5 wins, and K-Pop, the elite trainer we came up against, ended up making it to the tiebreaker round, but unfortunately didn't win. That comes an end to my video. Thank you for watching.